Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors where I was a certified senior advisor and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources. Today we're here with Natalie Zolotareva from Mind Your Wellness. Hello, Natalie. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me.
So I'll ask you, Mind Your Wellness, what that exactly is, but I'll first ask, how did you get to Mind Your Wellness?
My journey in medicine or in this healthcare started when I was very little. I always wanted to play doctor and take care of everybody. So that's when it all started, right? And then I went to nursing school back in Russia and again here in America. So after my nursing school, which was at Delphi, I got hired by St. Francis Hospital, where I worked for 22 years.
Wow.
Mostly in the ICU. So I worked in the ICU during COVID, and it was pretty rough.
Credit to you for that.
Yes, thank you. I found that a lot of our patients, most of them, unfortunately, ended up passing away. The really seriously ill COVID patients. And there was one thing that was in common. They were all overweight or obese, and they all had chronic disease.
That's what they say with COVID. There was a comorbidity.
Comorbidities, exactly,
Yeah.
yes. They all had diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure. And I looked at these people, and I just wished that I could do something to prevent this from happening. And I decided that I could do more good by helping people stay healthy or find health.
Better to keep them healthy than fix them.
Exactly, yes. It's a little too late once people are in the ICU on the verge of dying.
Right.
So I left the hospital in 2022. I completed a course for nurses to become a health coach.
Mm-hmm.
I became board certified as a health coach. It's actually called nurse coach, board certified nurse coach.
I never heard of that before.
Yes, nobody heard about it. And whenever I mention nurse coach, people think that I coach nurses.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like a football coach, right?
Right.
So I don't use that term. I
You're a
just say
nurse
health coach.
who coaches people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is that a lot of health coaches out there don't have any medical background. And they may be good at what they do, but I think there is a clear advantage to having somebody who has the medical background.
So I always ask people, because we interview a lot of people, many in the same industry, and I say, what's your differentiator to you and your competition? This is a big differentiator.
It's a big differentiator. But I'm also very special.
Right. There you go. You're a big differentiator.
I'm a big differentiator. I have a lot of interest in different healing modalities.
Right.
And I really bring everything together when I work with my clients. So you asked me about the name of my company, Mind Your Wellness. Mindfulness is a big part of everything that I do. I am a certified meditation teacher, and I think that mindfulness is a big game changer. It works for everything.
Right.
It works for life satisfaction, which is what else is important, right? It's the most important thing. But it also works for habit change, for understanding your emotions. It works for everything. So mindfulness is very important for me.
I have a question for you. We just moved, we downsized, and my wife says to me, I can't find anything. Okay. And I say, that's a very negative thought.
Yes.
There are some things I can't find. Is that part of mindfulness?
Absolutely.
Because I said, when you put those thoughts in your head, you're filling with some things I can't find. That's a fact. I can't find anything. It's not even a fact, but just exacerbating a problem. And I tell that all the time. But so that's so I can have the backup of a nurse saying that she's
absolutely. Yes, I'm backing you up.
Remember that.
I think our language is very important. Yeah. And even when I give lectures about brain health. When I talk about brain health, I talk about the myth of thinking that we are supposed to get sick and lose our memory as we get older, and how this belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And people say it all the time. They say, I can't remember anything. I'm forgetting everything. And now that I'm old, it's all downhill from now.
Right.
And that type of thinking and the words that we use to say that is very harmful.
Right.
So
My
I think,
brother-in-law, his sister's 39 years old. He's in the 60s
he's-
like me, but his
Uh-huh.
sister's 39 years old.
Mhm.
And so if I keep telling myself that, it's good for my mindfulness, basically.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I think, is that realistically, is that just crazy? And there's a merit to that. I don't know, 60, whatever he is, 66 and 39. I don't know, maybe that's exaggeration, but that the idea is there. The idea is there.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if it's going to work for your brother-in-law.
Right.
I think there's we don't want to lie to ourselves.
Right.
That sometimes people use affirmations and they say things that they don't actually believe. Like, I have $1 million. I have $1 million. Well, your mind knows it's not true. At least in my case, it's not.
That's right. That's very funny.
Yes, but there was a study actually where older people were placed in a setting that reminded them of their youth. So everything was reproduced. There was radio was playing music from their 50s, and they spent some time there, and all their parameters improved.
I've seen studies where they've played music to people who are totally senile and whatnot, and suddenly it brings back memories.
Yeah.
Because they relate those memories. I am not a music person. I haven't turned the radio on since I graduated college. But if I'm around music and hear a song back from that time, so I only listened to music the 4 years of college in my life.
Yes.
I have flashbacks of that moment, things I wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah.
So it makes certain things like that make a big difference. And there's so many parts of our brain we just don't use, at least consciously don't use.
Yes.
So
music definitely brings up, connects us to something that we cannot connect to otherwise.
yes, I watched some video. I don't know if it was one of the some news television show, and it was phenomenal what was happening to these people who are non-communicative or people in a wheelchair, still able to get up and dance.
Yes.
Who were in a wheelchair, but the music somehow gave them the, I'm going to call it, out of ignorance, a superpower. So clearly they had the ability to get up, but is it their mindset that prevented them from getting up out of a wheelchair at that point? If they had the physical ability when they heard the music? I don't know the answer. I don't know if you do. But
I think there's multiple factors that go into play. But believing that you are younger, believing that connecting to that part of your life when you were able to walk or dance, I think that's part of the solution. Right. I had a really powerful moment back when I was working in the ICU. I took care of this Jewish lady who was in her 90s. And she was very sick. She was in the ICU, so she was in bed for many days. And then she started getting better.
Right.
And we were able to lift her up in the chair.
Right.
And she was sitting and looking around. And she was very intellectually curious lady. And I played some Jewish music for her. Ayidische Mama. And she was singing. And it was such a great moment. Everybody came to see her.
That's so funny.
Celebrate, yeah.
That's very funny, right? And they say music is tremendous. Music is tremendous when it comes to therapy. There's also music therapies and so on. It seems like speaking to you. So let me explain. So I met Natalie she was a speaker at GPNY, and I thought she was phenomenal. What she had to say. I asked her to bring her on the podcast. But when I spoke to you before our recording just now, you said you mainly deal with people like in their 50s or so. And this podcast is really designed about senior issues, but we find most of our listeners are caretakers. We have seniors as well, but mainly caretakers. And those are the people who are in their 50s and 60s. So this really is addressing the very audience that we have here.
Yes.
Which is phenomenal. But let me go back to your business. I just wanted to sort of make that point because it's not typical. Typically we're talking about, I'll say, the more advanced senior. Because technically I'm a senior, but I don't consider myself one because that's part of my being mindful. So I always say, I said this before on the podcast, and I say it all the time. I have 2 grandkids, and I say I'm not even old enough to be a father. So, but anyway, that might just be a maturity issue more than anything else. But putting that aside, so people find you. We'll get to that later, how they find you. And then what do you do with your clients?
Most people I work one-on-one. I also do some group coaching for women over 40 for weight loss. That's a little subspecialty that I do. And I've thought about doing group coaching for other things like maybe cholesterol, blood pressure, but I haven't put that into practice yet.
Right.
If there's interest, contact me, and I will consider doing that.
Absolutely.
But usually it's one-on-one. We meet on Zoom, and I take a thorough assessment of where you are, and we create a plan on how to make it better.
Have you ever dealt with people with ADHD? That's a specialty. I don't know if you've...
Oh, I'm familiar with ADHD.
Yes.
I don't specialize in
Right.
it. I've never seen anybody for that problem.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There might have been people who had that condition,
Right.
but I'm not the the best resource for that.
Sure. I've been dealing with it since the death of my father, and tried many medications. At this point, I think I'm going to give up the medication route and go get some behavioral therapy issues.
Yeah.
To try to keep me focused. Kind of ironic. I do an interview and I have ADHD, so I somehow managed to keep focused long enough for these things. So, well, at least I think I do anyway. But putting that aside, I was curious if that was one of the things you addressed. Otherwise, I would have asked for your phone number. But although weight issues and so on, so you address weight issues with your group of women over 40.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're working with mindfulness, but you're explaining to them that I'm going to use the word, the toxicity of the food we eat today, or you sort of just you get to understand how we eat so terribly.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
So we have there's two parts to how I approach weight loss. One part is nutrition, and I recommend whole food plant-based diet, which doesn't have to be 100% vegan. It starts where you are, and people start making changes, moving towards definitely whole food. Everybody needs to eat more whole foods, less packaged foods, less processed foods, and also moving towards eating more plants.
Right.
So that's the diet part of my program. The other part is actually mindfulness, knowing how to deal with emotions, knowing how to deal with cravings, and just with the stress of life.
Right. Interesting. You talk about more natural foods. I'm an ice cream eater, but I make sure I take very small portions. So at least they feel I got it, but not too much. But my daughter bought an ice cream machine, and she just processes fresh fruit and makes like a sorbet out of it.
That's the best.
So you're getting the ice cream, if you will, the feel, but without all the other stuff that you really should be eating.
We call it nice cream.
Nice cream. There you go.
Cream, yes.
And I heard today, so unrelated to weight loss, but related to what's we're putting in our bodies and our environment, that 1 in 31 kids today are born on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it used to be 1 in 100, and they say in the 60s was 1 in 10,000. So we're really poisoning ourselves and our society. And I've been to Europe a number of times, and they eat very differently in Europe. I don't know about Russia. I have no idea. But you know what? I mean, people are buying the food every day. They're not buying the food with preservatives. They're buying the bread today, and if they don't eat it, goes in the garbage tomorrow. Yeah. As opposed to bread that sits on your shelf for 3 weeks. And I assume that's part of what we're doing to ourselves. How do you address that when you talk about natural?
Well, when I talk about whole foods, I teach people to read labels. Right. Obviously, the best foods don't have labels, right? Yes. They're in the produce section, and there's no labels on them. Yeah. But we live in our society. People are busy. It's hard not to ever use any packaged products. Right. And some of them are very, very healthy. You can use them and still achieve your health goals. But I teach people to read the ingredients, not believe in the front of the package, which is always catchy phrases. Yes. It's gluten-free, it's organic, it's healthy, it's high protein, whatever the package says. But you want to turn it around and actually read the ingredients. Right. And
you really don't want to read the ingredients.
Sometimes you don't. Like when you mentioned bread, most breads, it's very hard to find bread that doesn't have 300 things that you cannot even pronounce.
Right.
So
it's bread.
It's bread.
Just have bread in it. I'm being facetious. Flour.
It should have whole wheat flour, yeast, water, maybe a little salt.
Right.
But nothing else. Right. And if you start looking at the packages, that's going to be very, like a little scary, actually.
Yes. I try not to, actually. So I should not be eating my spice gumdrops, I guess, huh? Okay, there's nothing natural about those. I go through phases. Every other year, I don't buy them for the whole year. So that way I have half as many. Yeah. But But anyway, but yes, we know we eat stuff that's not healthy for us.
Mm-hmm.
We read the labels you're saying, and I think you said in your program, you don't want to put stuff in your body you can't pronounce, which is a phrase, I've heard that phrase before, and it makes a lot of sense. You want the fewest number of ingredients in what you eat, because the extra ingredients are usually the bad stuff. Another issue as well, I'll let you finish that. What else do you comment about food when you're preparing food at home? Any other comments that say eat natural, eat more fruits and vegetables? Is there a certain amount you should be taking in? I'm sure they talk about a 2,000 calorie diet. Is that a real thing?
The way I approach it, we don't count calories.
Okay.
When you eat whole food and plant-based, it's very low calorie density.
Okay.
So what happens is you're satisfied with a small amount of calories naturally. So you never have to count calories. You don't have to watch your portion sizes. You can eat to satiety.
Right. Interesting. I remember you just said about whole wheat. And one of the slides you've shown was the whole wheat?
The oats. It was the oats.
The
yes.
oats. And you started with whole oats.
Yeah, the whole oats, they're called oat groats. Most people never even heard of them.
No.
I've heard of them maybe a year ago. So that was a little bit new information for me as well. So now I've been cooking oat groats and I actually really like them.
Okay.
They have more of a texture and it's almost like a risotto when you make them. They're a little creamy but also a little chewy.
Cream? I wouldn't expect cream, I guess. Okay.
Well, just the way I cook them. You can probably make them more like rice where they're not as the way I cook them. They're a little creamy.
You mentioned that. You mentioned steel cut, I think was the second choice.
Yeah, so it starts with oat groats. That's like when they're in their natural state, when they're picked.
Is that a supermarket item if you look for it?
I actually don't know if you can find them. You probably can. I ordered them online, so I don't know if supermarkets have them. You'd probably have to look around.
Yeah, I've never
maybe Whole
seen
Foods.
It. Yeah, yeah, okay.
And then they get cut into steel cut oats.
Right.
Then they get steamed and rolled into rolled oats. Then it's cooked a little bit more into quick oats.
Right.
And then
you mentioned Cheerios.
And then they lose their identity.
They lose their identity. It was such a great slide. It was such a great slide. Yes, that was my favorite one, actually. You had a lot of slides. That was my favorite one, and everyone laughed because we all eat Cheerios. I eat Honey Nut Cheerios, which is even worse than the regular Cheerios. So, okay, so oat groats. Is that oat groats? What I said? I don't know what I said. Okay, and number one. But if you don't find that steel cut is a second choice.
I mean, even the instant oats, they're still whole oats. Right. They don't, like I say, whole foods. Nothing good was taken away. Right. And nothing bad was added. Right. Right. But once we get to Cheerios, we see that there's a whole list of ingredients, and I think sugar is like number 2 ingredient in Cheerios.
Yes, especially in the Honey Nut. But it tastes so delicious. So anyway, I was eating Raisin Bran as my other go-to cereal, and I looked at the box, and I was appalled.
Sugar,
I was appalled. I know the raisins have a lot of sugar, and I think they add sugar to the raisins and everything else. So I started taking bran flakes and putting raisins in them. And it seemed less offensive. Good, I can't tell you, probably not, but less offensive than the...
Right, there's bad, better, and best, right? So as long as you're moving towards something better, it's good. It's a good move.
Correct. So in your program, is it an all or nothing kind of thing?
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm very flexible.
Right.
Meet people where they are.
Right. Because you're going to get more wins if you don't have the all or nothing attitude.
Yeah, I mean, some people have the all or nothing mentality and they're willing to do it. Some people who already have advanced disease and they're really motivated, they may be willing to just go all or nothing and never look back. Right. But most people don't want to change everything all at once, and the slow change may be more sustainable.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Like I said, for me, going from my ice cream to my ice cream to my ice cream, it's every little bit makes a difference. Every little makes a difference. And being in my 60s, I'm aware I live a high stress life. I'm a house buyer. I buy houses and renovate them and so on. Boy, there's a high stress job dealing with lots of money, and I don't eat properly, and I work too many hours. I'm doing all the terrible things I should be doing, but I do have a positive mental attitude. I use the term PMA, and people say, never heard of PMA. I don't know. I thought it's a regular phrase everybody knew, but apparently not.
I'll tell you another thing that you do well. You were telling me about your hobby of making toys for children.
Correct.
And donating them.
Yes.
That's a very positive thing. And I think when people have a passion and they do something to benefit others, which is true about, I guess, your audience, right? They're all caregivers.
Yes.
So that attitude of giving to somebody else, having a purpose in life, doing something for others, I think that can outweigh a lot of bad things we do.
I agree that having purpose. My father worked till the day he died at 91. And people say to me, Larry, I'm going to retire. I said, I have the money to retire. I'm 66 years old. That's not a breaking comment. You should be able to retire at 66, but I, God willing, will never retire. So my idea of retirement is working 30 hours a week. That's my idea of retirement, not 60, 80, 90, but 30. But you're right. Purpose is very important.
Yes.
And I talked to someone who's retired, and he plays all day, every day. But if it's not golf, it's sports. And I said, don't you need a purpose? It seems not to need a purpose. And I guess some people don't think they need it. Are you saying most people really need it, whether they know it or not? Or some people it's just not part of their DNA and it doesn't really matter?
Well, having fun can be a purpose.
Oh, that's to me. I don't know how to have fun. I just work. That's it. Having fun could have a purpose. Well, I have to take that under advisement. My mind never ever went there. Ever. I got to tell you, it's the most interesting thing I've heard in these podcasts. Having fun could be a purpose.
Doing these podcasts, are you enjoying it?
You could have a purpose and have fun, but I never thought of having fun as being a purpose. I see. I once asked. I said to my rabbi, when I started making these toys, I said, I make these toys and I feel like I'm doing charitable work, but I really enjoy it. Is it really charitable? And he said, that's stupid. That's what he said to me, just like that. That's stupid. And he was very, very careful with his words. But he said, that's stupid. He goes, you're supposed to enjoy being charitable. You're supposed to enjoy helping other people. But I felt I was getting so much out of it. The enjoyment, it sort of took away. And he said, that was an absurdity. So I guess at least I'm consistent with my thoughts. So at least I'm consistent, and it's sort of coming back right now. So, okay, but let's get back to, I guess we're on mindfulness here. So mindfulness could be many things to many people. So I have to change my attitude. So I listen to my rabbi, and I have to listen to you. Okay. So with that said, so you're giving people advice. You bring a new client on. The client can have weight issues. What other health issues? People come to you with some reason.
Yeah.
Someone seemingly healthy and well-balanced, well-adjusted is not seeking you out, I'm assuming, or is that not true?
Usually they don't. I mean, it would be great to work with people who don't have any issues yet to help them optimize their lifestyle so that they can stay healthy, right? Yeah. But usually, unfortunately, people don't seek help until there's an issue. A lot of times it's a new diagnosis. Maybe the doctor said you are diabetic or pre-diabetic and you're going to have to go on a medication, and people don't want to, and rightfully so, or cholesterol, and they want to find an alternative.
Right.
And it's a very easy fix, both diabetes and cholesterol and blood pressure.
Right.
It's just, I think it's criminal that we just put people on medication when it's so easy to fix with diet and lifestyle.
Right.
And that's a lot of my clients.
Yeah, doctors definitely are very quick to prescribe.
But the interesting thing is that, as I told you, I went to nursing school in two different countries.
Yeah.
I worked for 22 years in the hospitals, and I never, ever heard about disease reversal.
Interesting.
Yes.
It was what you talked about with dementia, maybe having it, you can't eliminate it. But
yeah, on early stages, it looks like there's a possibility of reversal. Mild cognitive decline can be reversed at early stages. And who knows, with more studies, we may find out that we can do more.
Right.
But dementia is a little bit harder, but we still have some positive news there.
Right.
And diseases like heart disease and diabetes are totally reversible.
It makes, I mean, it's definitely hard. I mean, you talk about heart disease is usually a cholesterol problem. Is it? Oh, it's also a stress problem. I don't know how you.
It's a combined problem. Yes.
Blood pressure.
Dr. Ornish did the study, which I mentioned in my lecture, which his program is proven to reverse heart disease. It's approved and covered by some insurances because there is so much evidence that it reverses heart disease. Dr. Esselstyn did the study in 1984. His patients came to him when they were failed by conventional medicine.
Right.
They were not candidates for a stent or an open heart surgery. And he put them on a very strict whole food, plant-based diet, low fat.
Right.
And we were talking about motivation. These were people who were motivated, right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
they were going to die within a year. That was the prediction.
That's pretty extreme motivation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these people, within months, they lost all their symptoms.
Right.
And we have angiogram test studies that show that their coronary arteries that were diseased at the beginning completely opened up.
Wow.
So the blood was flowing.
Wow.
Yes. And the study was, I think, 12 and a half years. All of those people were still alive, no cardiac events, no symptoms.
These people had like a year to live, and 12 and 8 years later, they're all alive.
Mm-hmm.
With no medication, well, no surgeries or so on.
No surgeries, no intervention. I don't know if they were,
Right.
they might have been taken.
Right, I don't say no medication.
Some medications, I don't know for sure.
But that's a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
A year, 12 and a half years, and they're still kicking.
Yeah, and we have evidence that the disease was reversed.
Right.
And we know that it works.
Right.
Diabetes, type 2 diabetes can be reversed within weeks if the person goes on a whole food plant-based diet.
Well, actually.
And it's such a terrible disease because of the complications. People go blind, they lose their legs, they go on dialysis. Heart disease is a complication of diabetes.
Question, do you, this is a question I'm asking for personal benefit, but it's also for everyone else as well. Do you work remotely or just you do?
Mm-hmm.
I just have someone coming, I so mentioned we're Jewish, we have a Seder tomorrow night, and right now we're filming this right before Passover, and who is a diabetic, and he's too big. And so you're saying I can tell him to reach out to somebody like you or you.
Absolutely.
And you can sit there, if he's disciplined enough, I assume it takes some level of discipline to sit there and change your diet.
Yes. The thing is, with whole food plant-based diet, you never have to go hungry.
Right.
So I think it's not even a matter of discipline. It's more a matter of making a decision. If the person wants to make a change.
Right. Right.
It's an easy change.
Right.
And the more with some diets, I call it a diet, but it really is a lifestyle. It's not something that you do for 20 days to lose 20 pounds,
Right.
It's something that you do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And most diets, you do it for a period of time and you cannot wait to go back to your normal way of eating.
Right, correct.
With whole food plant-based lifestyle, people, the more they do it, the more they enjoy it. And it's just a wonderful lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key Homebuyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you were going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors, attending open houses, and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
My wife keeps saying she wants to change to plant-based, and then she makes fish. So fish is not plant-based.
No.
But would fish be a healthy food, or you would take that out? That's obviously not part of a plant-based diet, but is that an offensive food to eat versus a steak? Steak we know is really thick.
Fish is better than steak.
Right.
But beans are better than fish.
Okay.
And much cheaper too.
From your perspective, maybe not from my tongue's perspective. We eat plenty of beans. How about if you put beans on your fish? No, that doesn't help. So I know they talk about like omega-3 and stuff, which is found in fish, and that's supposed to be very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of fish would takes away from not being good for you the same way plant-based diet?
So I don't recommend that people necessarily have to be vegan.
Right.
Up to maybe 3 servings of animal food a week, the body seems to be able to deal with it, and it doesn't cause any negative effects for most people.
Right.
And we know that from the population studies that the blue zones, most of them are not. You're familiar with blue zones, right? Those 5 areas in the world where we find a lot of
Mediterranean
dense areas, right?
Yeah.
There's one in America, the Loma Linda in California.
Yes, my wife was reading about that actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's Okinawa, Japan.
Right.
It's Greece, Sardinia in Italy, and Ikaria in Greece, and Nicosia in Nicoya in Costa Rica.
Yep. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So most of them are not vegan,
Right.
but they eat meat in very small amounts. They eat it more like a condiment, and more if it's a special day or a celebration. It's not the staple of their diet.
Right.
And that seems to work for living long, healthy lives.
Right.
So I don't tell people that they necessarily have to become vegans unless they want to or for ethical purposes. But if you eat animal foods,
Right.
fish is definitely better than meat, and you have to choose the best quality. It has to be wild fish. It has to be free range, organic, whatever. Everything. It has to be the best quality you can find.
Oh, that's interesting. I never think of that. Especially they talk about the wild caught salmon and so on.
So a huge difference between wild salmon and farm salmon.
Okay.
Farm salmon, they eat corn, they eat GMO corn, it's a lot of omega-6s.
Oh, GMO corn.
It's
That's
actually
interesting.
pro-inflammatory, and while wild salmon may be better for you as far as inflammation and omega-3s.
But to change gears 1 second, you mentioned GMO corn. So if you're doing a plant-based diet, should be an organic plant-based diet. Is that part of your?
There was something I wanted to say about fish.
Okay.
One concern with all fish and all seafood is microplastics. So there's evidence that all fish contains microplastics.
I don't know what that is.
It's these very small particles of plastic that
They've been consuming out.
That we consume when we consume them, and that's a bigger and bigger concern. So there's probably going to be some research on that.
So microplastics actually get ingested? They don't just pass through? They go into...
No, they stay in our bodies.
Oh, that I wouldn't have known. I would have...
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So the fish is not... It's the fish's microplastics are in its bloodstream or in its meat or whatever.
Or maybe it's in some of it is in intestines. I don't know enough science where exactly in the fish, but I know that it's a rising concern.
So we're getting it if they have it.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's
let a farm raise then? This farm says other stuff, but they would have the microplastics.
No, all of them have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One of the lifestyle doctors that I follow, Dr. Furman, he used to recommend fish in small amounts as part of a healthy diet, and he doesn't anymore because of the microplastics.
Well, I never heard that. I never heard that. That would be very sad. We went from being beef eaters to chicken eaters to turkey eaters to fish eaters. We're working our way down.
Yeah.
Working our way down. Beef is like almost non-existent in our house.
Mm-hmm.
But chicken we eat, but mainly fish and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Fish, fruit, and vegetables. But is there a difference in hierarchy from? What I wish it's that turkey is, well, I'll say in your world, less worse than chicken. Is that true, or is chicken, turkey?
I think it's about
same
the same.
thing.
But you want to choose the healthiest version,
right?
Mm.
That's very interesting. I'm going to talk to her, see what we do. But again, we don't eat much of it. It's holiday. She's going to make a turkey. Mm-hmm. I don't like turkey. It's not a problem for me.
And you can get the omega-3s from plant sources.
Okay.
Chia seeds, flax seeds, or walnuts, and hemp seeds.
You mentioned that. How about pistachios? I like pistachios.
You can have pistachios, not so generally healthy.
Okay.
If weight is an issue, you want to limit your nut intake by small amounts because they're very high in calories and that.
They are.
But if weight is not an issue and you exercise a lot, burn a lot of calories,
right,
you can have a little bit more.
I just moved my office, my stand-up desk with a treadmill. So to get I did that actually as a result of ADHD. They say 30 minutes of exercise a few times a week. Said even walking. So I feel that should hopefully keep my brain clear and focused. We'll see. I was doing in the past, but I think get back on it now. Just started. But
that's great.
But everything helps. Not all or nothing.
Yes.
This is a something. So,
another thing with ADHD, there's a connection with microbiome. all or most mental issues
Right.
are connected to microbiome. And there's some research that connects specific changes in microbiome, specific strains of bacteria that correlate with specific things like anxiety, depression, OCD,
Interesting. They're all related.
autism spectrum. Mhm.
Huh. So, very interesting. So much can be taken care of within ourselves just by the way we take care of ourselves,
Yes.
and not by the way the doctors take care of us.
Mhm.
So when I go for the doctor for a checkup, it should come out well because I've done everything right up to that point.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah, like we were talking before,
Yeah.
you don't want to outsource your health.
that's the term you said, and I love
Yes.
that term because I just said it now. I wanted to bring it up and I forgot. So thank you. You don't want to outsource your health. It's an excellent term, and that's what we do in America. That's what we do in America. As I said, we buy food full of preservatives, and I always thought if we buy food of preservatives, doesn't it help preserve us? Those go through us, but the microplastics stay in us. But so with that said, so you speak to people, you're talking about fixing their diet. So that's one component of what you do.
Yes.
Okay, what else are you getting involved with your clients?
Well, it's all the lifestyle factors. It's diet, exercise, stress reduction, emotional health. Having a goal in life, that life purpose. You're
Right.
talking about what's important to you. Why is it important? What are your values in life?
Right.
So all of those components come together.
And do you get involved in helping them find their purpose?
Yes.
Is that part of what you do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, very touchy-feely. It's basically it's a medical discussion as far as diet and every exercise, but you're also talking about the spiritual component.
Yes.
Very, very important. Hence the mindfulness. So I like to ask people: do you have a specific story like that somebody could relate to? A story people here would relate to. Somebody you work with who I was going to say somebody you could work with who you can sort of go into a little bit of detail, obviously without discussing who this person is.
Well, just recently, for example, I worked with a woman who needed to lose weight and reverse diabetes.
Right.
And she had tried many different things in the past, and it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to go vegan. She kept saying to me, "I am not going to be vegan." I said, "It's okay, you don't have to." And she decided to make small changes. So she started having breakfast that was whole food, plant-based. Then she added a little bit more with lunches. And now she does a couple of days a week when she doesn't eat any animal products. And her hemoglobin A1C just came back just outside the normal. She's almost there.
Uh-huh.
And she lost over 20 pounds. And she's very happy with her progress. And it's going slowly. And she says, what I'm doing, I can continue doing forever.
Right.
So she will continue losing weight until she gets to her goal weight.
Right.
And her diabetes is, I'm sure, in the next test is going to be normal. And it's an easy adjustment that she was able to put into place. And it's going to support her in the long run. I don't know how many years of life she added by doing this, but I'm sure that she did. And there's always side benefits. When you take medications, there's always side effects.
Yes.
When you work with me, it's all side benefits.
I like the distinction. You're right.
Yes.
You put up with this. In your case, it's a benefit. You don't care about anything.
Yes.
You have to put up with maybe changing your diet. But as you said, it becomes something you don't put up with after a while.
No,
because it's a lifestyle.
I always tell people get curious about it, get excited, like try new recipes, experiment with it.
Yeah.
Not like restriction. What am I giving up? But what am I opening up to?
Right.
And people are able to walk more. People tell me, oh, now I go up a flight of stairs and I'm not out of breath. It's easy. I'm able to play with my grandkids and I didn't get out of breath. I have more energy. I wake up in the morning and I'm just like ready to go.
Right.
And is it worth trying a new recipe and eating something that you didn't eat before? I think it's totally worth it.
So that's very interesting. And what you said about her, which makes this whole thing very appealing, she systematically seemed to implement it in her life. Mm-hmm. So it was baby steps.
Yes.
To a point where she's seeing results, which helps her to take more baby steps.
Yes.
And then she says, I can live But the number of steps I've taken, I can live like this. This is a comfortable lifestyle for me.
Yes.
I said it's not becoming vegan. It's changing some of your behaviors is all you really need to do to make a difference. And she's curing an illness. I said, and not only you said you don't know how many years it added to her life or it will add to her life, but it also adds quality years to your life.
Absolutely. And then another thing, she spoke with her doctor about stopping cholesterol medication because she's changing her diet. And cholesterol increases your blood sugar.
Right.
Not cholesterol medication, statins increase your blood sugar.
Okay.
So stopping the statin actually helps you get your blood sugar down.
Well, that's interesting. I'm on statins.
Yes.
So very interesting. So you're saying, well, I don't want to make such a bold statement, but how do I say this without getting you in trouble? Okay. So you're saying that if I change my diet, there's a good chance, I'm trying to protect you here, there's a good chance that I would be able to get off my statins.
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess I don't have to couch my words. You seem very confident about that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a client who went to the doctor. The doctor said your cholesterol is elevated. You have to take a statin.
Right.
And he said, well, can't I change my diet? The doctor said, don't be ridiculous. Just take the pill. You don't want to change your diet.
Right.
And when I heard that, I was so angry.
Yes.
So he decided to try, and he went for a month. He didn't change a lot. He just stopped eating cheese, which I recommend stopping dairy. Dairy is not very good for us. So he just stopped dairy. And a month later, he went back to the doctor, and his cholesterol was 40 points down without taking the drug. And it was normal at this point.
Yeah.
So the doctor said, oh, good, the drug is working. And he was afraid to tell his doctor that he stopped taking the pill. No, not stopped. He never actually started. Yeah.
Interesting, because I take that and I take for blood pressure. And everyone says you must be so stressed, but I don't feel I live a stressed lifestyle. But blood pressure and stress aren't always correlated. But just because you have high blood pressure doesn't mean you have stress. I'll rephrase that. Is that a fair comment? That's not a fair comment.
I haven't met anybody who doesn't have stress. So
well, okay, an excessive amount of stress. I'll rephrase that. You're right. I don't know, but no one doesn't have stress.
Stress is not always bad. Stress is a good thing.
It's like, actually a lifesaver.
Yeah,
we do make a lot of decisions due to stress, which save our lives. So
I think we need to learn how to deal with stress. And if we deal with stress well, then stress can actually make us stronger. It's like going to the gym. You gotta stress yourself.
Right.
For your muscles to grow.
I hate gym.
Well, you have that.
The treadmill helps. The treadmill helps. But it helps. That's a start. About 1981, I think I mentioned this previously on a podcast, I read a book from Wayne Dwyer, The Erroneous Zones. And he says if you did something 98% of the time and it failed 98% of the time, you'd stop doing it. And he says, stop worrying. He says 98% of things you worry about never happen.
Yes.
So why worry? And I read that multiple times. Like it had to resonate with me. And I haven't really worried of any significance since 1981. And my wife says she worries twice as much because I don't worry at all. So she's got to worry for me. Back to that mindfulness comment. Bad mindfulness, bad shame. But I really just, if I can't change it, I don't worry. Even if I can change it, I don't worry. I do what I want to do to change it. But I find that's not a healthy emotion. And in the most circumstance, actually in any circumstance, you could be concerned and deal with it. But worrying doesn't accomplish anything. I guess
that's logic is there.
Right.
It doesn't always work for people.
Right. I know some particularly. Yeah, it doesn't work for I think very few people. And maybe I'm a little brain dead. I was able to just turn that off. I don't know. But 40 years ago, I just turned off my worry mode.
It's amazing.
And it just made too much sense not to listen to it. And you make too much sense not to listen to going on a plant-based diet, get off my blood pressure medication and my statins. So it doesn't seem like a difficult thing to do. So now I'm changing my diet to some degree. I don't have to become vegan. I'm changing my diet, modifying. I'm going to plant-based and natural foods.
Whole food, yeah.
Whole foods. Right. It has to be whole foods specifically, right? I'm going to exercise. I don't know if you give specific workouts with your clients, or you just
I don't do workouts. I recommend exercise. Right. I keep people put it into practice, but I'm not an exercise trainer.
Okay. But that's part of the program. But it's not your area of expertise. Everyone's got to have a specialty.
Absolutely.
And if you know too many things, you don't know enough, right? And then so it's diet, it's exercise, it's mindfulness, it's keeping positive attitudes, having a purpose, and so on. Are there other bits of advice you can give to mindfulness? That seems like a really important part.
Well, one, mindfulness is really paying attention without judgment. It's really being present with what's here now. And a lot of times people think that mindfulness is meditation and it's going to take an hour out of their day and they don't have the time. But mindfulness is really paying attention. So it's whatever you're doing. If your mind is someplace else, you're not being mindful. And if you bring your mind here, you focus on sensations, you focus on colors, what you see, what you hear. You really bring yourself into this present moment. You're going to be much less stressed and much more satisfied with life.
Interesting.
So that's the most important thing. But otherwise, there are a lot of different practices.
Right.
And I think one of my strengths is I get to know people and I see what may work for them. So somebody may actually benefit from sitting and doing formal meditation. Somebody else may want a breath practice. Somebody else, maybe it's movement, maybe it's dance, maybe it's qigong. So everybody has something that works for them. And I'm usually able to find that.
You mentioned qigong. I was a patient of someone who would do manipulation, sewing and massage and whatnot for me. I don't know if he's retiring. There's not very many, not far from you, actually. There's not very many around. I don't know any others, actually, on Long Island, because I was a chiropractic patient for years, bad back. I started going to him as something different. And I stopped going to him just because life changed. And now I'm in physical therapy where I actually stretch. Instead of going to a chiropractor, it just puts me back together again, which is much like the doctor giving you medication. I'm now stretching and doing some extra strength exercises to keep me from falling out of whack and my spine keeping aligned and so on. So that seems to fall in line with your exactly what you're preaching, right? Don't be proactive in our own health. So I never anyone else mentioned that term. So except him and now you. So it's very interesting. So okay. Now what about sleep? Sleep's a big. I don't sleep. I think sleep's a waste of time. And you're going to fight with me on that. But from sleep, I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm not accomplishing anything. Why am I doing it? But you're going to tell me I need my 8 hours.
Sleep accomplishes two things, two major things that we know of. There may be other things. One is we organize our memories, our thoughts, get organized and kind of like put into the right places. And the second one is the cleaning crew comes during that when you're sleeping. I always think when you go to Manhattan, you see there's lots of garbage on the sides of the street in the evening, right? Yeah. And then at night, these garbage trucks come in and they take all the garbage and they take it away. Yeah. That's what happens in our brain when we sleep. The lymphatic system flows through and it takes away all the impurities and brings nutrients. So if you don't get enough sleep, then some of that garbage stays there.
Nice, sir. Does it get picked up the next day, or is there forever and ever? Something as low as 5 hours, and that's not.
People are different. Maybe 5 hours is enough for you. It depends on how you feel. Like you seem to be bright-eyed and.
Oh, there you go. I work late. I'll work till 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, and then I'll be at my desk at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I live my life full of productivity, whether I'm working, making toys, doing something. And somehow when I sleep, I feel like I'm not producing anything. And you're saying, but I need to do that to some degree, how much that is for me. So everyone has a different system so everyone says you need 8 hours. And they say for ADHD, you have to get 8 hours. But that doesn't make sense to me because I know my mother needed 9 hours of sleep every night. And I have a family member who lives on 5 hours every night. So you're saying that's a personal thing, but
definitely.
How do I know if I'm getting enough sleep besides just being tired? How do I know if my trash is being thrown out entirely?
I think if you feel well with 5 hours of sleep, you wake up, you're energetic, you're not falling asleep driving, you're not falling asleep when you're reading a book. you're probably getting enough time, enough sleep.
Okay. I can live with that answer.
Yeah.
I can live with that answer.
Another interesting aspect of sleep is lucid dreaming. Some people are able to wake up while they're sleeping in their dream, and lucid dreaming can be used in very productive ways.
What do you mean wake up while they're dreaming? What does that mean?
You can realize that you're dreaming while you're dreaming, and then you can guide your sleep time to do interesting things.
Huh. I never heard of that.
Tibetan monks actually use sleep as a meditation because you can meditate in your sleep. And some people are able to practice skills or find answers to questions. I know one person who writes about lucid dreaming. He is a professional musician, and he practices his piano playing in his sleep.
Huh. Fascinating. He runs it through. My father would be able to sit in front of the house in his lawn chair with a scotch in one hand, a cigar in his other, things you probably don't want to hear. And he would be able to formulate a letter. We had 800 clients. He'd be able to formulate a letter he wanted to write for the clients. He'd do this on a Sunday. And you see, I'd watch him sometimes. I'd go there, and you see him seeing the letter, and you see him like visually erasing something and moving words around. He was so visual, and his brain could an entire letter. He'd come in on Monday and dictate the letter word for word to our secretary. He would type it out, and he'd sleep on it overnight, and then usually make some modifications and send it the next day. But it was, he was able to process all of that, which just blew my mind, because he was so in the moment that there was nothing else that was in his brain but this one thing. I'm very jealous of that. I have 1,000 things in my brain all the time. And it was, I don't know anyone else who's ever, I've never experienced watching anyone do that or seeing anyone do that. It was just an incredible thing to be able to do. And these were long, involved letters. He would remember it word for word, exactly what he wanted to write. And he was amazing with that. Okay, so we have covered a lot of things. What else should people be considering? We've covered a whole bunch of areas that you covered. Do we miss any?
Having fun.
Having fun. Oh.
I think that's very important for health. Not forgetting fun, because we're so busy thinking of all the things that we should be doing. Should is a very dangerous word.
Yeah.
So it's remembering that fun, enjoyment is an important part of life.
Oh, gosh. I'm not going to make it to 70.
You failed.
I failed. I just work. I have fun working. That's the difference. I love what I do. I've always loved what I did. And I've been working for 44 years for myself, and I've loved every day. Well, not every day, but I've loved every career. Some days are just lousy. The having fun, that's a big part. And I remember at your discussion, you talked about socialization. That's part of having fun. It's part of, it's part of a human nature is to want to be with other people.
Yeah.
And, okay. It's fascinating. So, quick question then. What kind of person is there an age group of a person reaching out to you? I don't know if you covered that before or not.
It's usually people in their 50s, because sometimes when we hit our 50s, like for women, it's menopause. Women start struggling with weight gain, and it kind of like starts snowballing.
Right.
And things that we got away with when we were younger, after 50s, it starts catching up with us sometimes. So.
Right. Okay. And then, so how do people go find you?
They can call me. It's 516-216-9556.
Can you repeat that again?
516
Yes.
216
Yes.
9556.
Okay, very good.
Call me or text me or email me at Natalie at mindyourwellnesscoaching.com.
mindyourwellnesscoaching.com. Okay.
And my website is mindyourwellnesscoaching.com.
Makes sense. And this was, I've interviewed people who are very technical in what they do, a lot of acronyms, and they're dealing with Medicaid and all these initials and so on, which is very important stuff to know. And I've dealt with people who are very touchy-feely, the home care people, okay? And then you're somewhere in between, because you're taking medicine and touchy-feeliness and sort of wrapping it all into one bundle. And in this case, this is something we talk about seniors here, but again, we basically address, most people listen to caretakers for seniors. And this really is appropriate, because most caretakers are 50-something-year-old women. And so you talk about mindfulness, and a big part of mindfulness is realizing that, what I was talking about just in the podcast we just did the other day was, that you don't have to do everything for your parents. You have to be there to help them with everything. We're talking about moving. You don't have to pack the boxes and lift the box and put them in a truck and unpack them, but you have to be able to help mom or dad coordinate a move. You have to help them maybe get the mover, maybe oversee it. You don't have to be willing to lift the boxes. You have to take care of yourself. And I sold us as a financial advisor a while back for 30 years. I sold long-term care insurance. And I always told the client, you're buying it for your spouse and your children. You're not buying it for yourself. You're going to get the care either way, but it's either going to be by your family or by somebody they hire. And if the money's there, they're more likely to hire somebody and relieve the burden of them. They're going to hire the mover, not pick up the boxes. And that's really what you want, because that's part of being mindful for yourself.
Yes.
And gives you the ability to enjoy helping people without the extra stress you're adding, which all seems to follow in exactly what you do. So I'm so happy to have had you here today. It was an eye-opening discussion. I've learned a lot. And that maybe I don't have to sleep more. That's good news. But that maybe I can change my diet. Hopefully not terribly. Whatever my wife puts in front of me, I eat anyway. So that maybe my wife can change my diet. But she's talking about going plant-based. So there's benefits there I wasn't considering. So hopefully other people will gather the same inspiration as I did from you, meeting you last week, and now even today. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. I wanted to emphasize what you said about buying life insurance for somebody else.
Right.
I think somebody who is a caretaker, the best thing you can do for people that you care for is take care of yourself.
Absolutely. If you don't take care of yourself, and that's something I've been saying for decades and decades, I say in the airplane, put your oxygen mask on before helping those up next to you.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. You're of no value if you're not functional anymore or not there. So a discussion we have all the time here, being that I took care of, but my wife and I took care of my parents, and we take care of her parents, now mine are gone. And it's an incredibly stressful job, but you've got to tend to yourself first.
Yes.
Which is something I see here all the time, being that the audience we're talking to. So thank you. It's a perfect way to end. But one question I ask everybody, and I forgot to ask you, and that is, what's the most important takeaway? But is that your most important takeaway, or is there something other?
I think this is the most important takeaway, that you have to take care of yourself to be a great caretaker, and also thinking about your children, because most people who are taking care of their parents, they also have children, and you don't want to become a burden for your children. So taking care of yourself is like win-win. You always going to be in good shape so that your kids don't have to take care of you in a few years, right? So that's a big takeaway. And the second takeaway is not outsourcing your health, and taking care of yourself, knowing that the power of being healthy is in your hands.
Well, thank you for that. So I'll wish you a thank you and a goodbye for the second time. Thank you. I'm glad I remember to ask that question. It was a great ending. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.